All right, let's talk about something that every photographer, and I mean every photographer, goes through. You love your camera, you love getting out there, but lately, that spark just isn't there. Well, we're going to dive in and figure out how to get it back.
So let me ask you, does this sound familiar? You head out, camera ready, feeling all inspired, but the photos you come home with, they just feel a bit meh, a bit predictable, kind of like the ones you took last week, right? Trust me, you are definitely not alone in feeling that way.
That feeling of being stuck, that creative rut, it's a super common hurdle, especially for us hobbyists who are really passionate about it. Inspiration feels like it's just out of reach, but here's the really good news. There's a clear, structured way to blast right through it. You've got the gear, you've put in the time, but the photos just aren't really changing or getting better. It's such a frustrating place to be, and honestly, it can just zap all the fun right out of photography.
But what if you had a map? Imagine a simple, reliable system that you could use for any style you wanted to try. Moody black and whites, epic landscapes, you name it. A framework that could turn that creative rut into a creative launchpad.
Well, guess what? That framework is real. And it comes from an absolutely brilliant book by Joe Houghton called Let's Shoot and Edit. So we're going to break down his simple three-step method that could completely change the game for you.
It's as simple as this: prepare, shoot, and perfect. That's it. So prepare is all about planning your vision before you even grab the camera. Shoot is about going out there and getting the shot with real intention. And perfect, well, that's where the magic happens in post-processing to bring that original vision to life.
Think of this framework as the engine that's going to drive your creativity. And the funny thing is, sometimes having that little bit of structure is the very thing that sets your creativity free. So, you know what? Let's put it to the test. Let's see it in action. We're going to take this for a spin with a true classic, monochrome, or black and white photography. This is the perfect test because it completely forces you to look at the world in a totally different way.
And this quote from Joe's book just nails it. It says, "The absence of color isn't a limitation, it's an invitation." I love that. It's not about losing something. It's about gaining a new focus on what really makes an image powerful: light, shadow, texture, shape, and form.
So check this out. When we see in color, our brains are immediately drawn to bright reds, deep blues, the vibrant stuff. But when you switch your brain to monovision, you have to start seeing in terms of luminance, which is just a fancy word for how bright or dark things are. You're no longer distracted by competing colors. Instead, your eye is guided by light and shadow.
Okay, let's look at step 1, prepare. This is all about training your eye before you even press the shutter. Look at a scene and try to imagine it without color. You need to start hunting for contrast, those big dramatic differences between light and dark. Look for interesting textures like rough wood or peeling paint, and find those strong lines that will pull a viewer's eye right into the photo.
Now for step 2, shoot. In black and white, light isn't just part of the image, it is the image. That harsh midday sun that photographers usually try to avoid? Well, in mono, it can be your best friend, creating bold, graphic shadows. A soft, overcast day? That's perfect for subtle, moody shots. But here is the golden rule. Always expose for your highlights. You can pull detail out of shadows, but once a highlight is pure white, poof, that detail is gone forever.
And finally, step 3, perfect. This is where you bring it all home. In a program like Lightroom, the black and white panel is your secret weapon. It lets you control the brightness of the original colors. So you can take a blue sky and make it deep, dark, and dramatic. The tone curve lets you add that beautiful cinematic contrast. And then there's dodging and burning. That's the final artistic touch, where you're basically painting with light to direct the viewer's eye.
Okay, so you can see how powerful this framework is for black and white, right? But here's the best part. That is just the beginning. This thing is not a one-trick pony.
The real beauty of Prepare, Shoot, Perfect is that it's like a master key. It unlocks any style of photography you want to get good at.
Take landscapes, for example. You prepare by scouting locations on an app and checking the weather. You shoot locked down on a tripod to get everything sharp. Then you perfect it in post-production to really make that sunrise pop.
What about street photography? Same deal. You prepare by setting a fast shutter speed so you're always ready. You shoot quickly, maybe from the hip, to catch those authentic moments. Then you perfect it, maybe with a gritty black and white edit to strengthen the story.
Or how about those dreamy long exposures? You know it. You prepare with your tripod and your ND filters, you shoot with a super slow shutter to get that silky smooth water, and you perfect it by adding contrast to make that texture look incredible.
Even portraits. You prepare by thinking about your lighting and your lens choice. You shoot by really connecting with your subject to get a genuine emotion. And then you perfect with some subtle retouching to make them look their absolute best.
And look, that's just scratching the surface. The book goes deep on this framework for 10 different genres. We're talking nature, macro, abstract, even night photography. It is a complete roadmap.
So where does all this leave you and your camera? Well, it means that your next big creative adventure might be a lot closer than you think.
That feeling of being stuck, it's not a dead end. It's a sign that you're ready for a new approach. And a simple, structured framework is the tool that can turn that frustration into a focused, exciting journey of growth.
And if you're looking for the ultimate map for that journey, Joe Houghton's Let's Shoot and Edit is without a doubt it. It's packed with specific techniques for 10 different genres, making it the perfect field guide to have right there in your camera bag.
So, the only question left is, with a clear framework to guide you, what new direction are you going to explore? What story will your next photo tell?